Cursed demon!
Elements like lies trip you up.
Just as I thought.
Till you meet a slow defeat.
The human realm and the demon realm have always coexisted.
They have learned of your awakening.
What the hell do you mean by awakening?
But lately, demons have been crossing over.
Just what the hell am I anyway?
You are not a human being, Ren.
Now, it's up to two brothers to rid the world of evil spirits. The only problem?
You are the offspring of Satan. Demons of all species will come after you for every kind of reason. This sword is more important than your life. Keep it by your side, even when you sleep. Once drawn, your demonic powers will be awakened.
Steal your soul for Blue Exorcist. Next Saturday at 1 a.m. Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
Hello everyone, welcome to our podcast Toonami Therapy on October 24th of 2024. I am Michael.
Yeah, hello, I'm Tommy.
And we're here to talk about anime we've been watching, sometimes other things we've been watching, and yes, usually, but not always, Toonami. So, this week we had the ending of Uzumaki, the ending of Demon Slayer, and if we hadn't already watched it a few days earlier when it premiered originally, also the ending of Rick and Morty, the anime, but we already discussed that last week. I will say, I guess, rewatching the first episode, because why not? It was airing. I think my opinion of it went up slightly, but still falls into the, well, you know, this episode was kind of a standalone story, kind of interesting. Why is this a Rick and Morty spinoff? So anyway, with all those series ending, you might be wondering, oh man, what exciting things are we going to get on Toonami? Well, actually, I think we discussed this last week also, but I was trying to set up for the punchline of saying, nothing next week, it's just Uzumaki reruns. The actual answer, once again, is a week after that. Apparently, we get a new Adult Swim or something, cartoon or action cartoon, Invincible Fight Girl, and then I can't remember if that week it's that and Blue Exorcist or that and Mashal. I know the week afterwards we get that, Fight Girl and Mashal and Blue Exorcist, so we'll be covering those. But for next week, we won't really have any regular Toonami stuff to discuss. Okay, so now let's get back into it. Uzumaki Episode 4. So a bunch of weird stuff happens involving spirals, just like the last 3 episodes. Seems like there's a little more continuity this time around, though, because with all the weird stuff that's happening with spirals, some of the characters decide, you know, maybe we should leave this city already. But then they discover that it doesn't seem possible to. They try to hike out in the mountains, but then it just doubles back to the city. Also, somehow, when they were out there, years passed in the regular city, and there's this big giant, all these houses and stuff people made that are, of course, in a spiral. Then everything gets sucked into underground, and the other characters go down. The remaining 2 characters go down there, and then it turns out there is a big machine made by, I think he says, the ancients, that caused a bunch of crazy spiral stuff to happen. Why? I don't know. And then they decide, well, I guess, we're not really able to beat the spiral curse at this point, so they just decided to kind of stay there and embrace. And I guess there was, except then they also turn into spirals or something. I don't know. That was a little weird. And then that's the end. And then because it does mention this happens repeatedly, it cuts to some point in the future where it looks like people rebuilt the town, and now all the crazy spiral stuff is about to happen again. The end.
Yeah, a bizarre series, although it had some good things to it. I actually felt frightened while watching this. So yeah, it achieved that goal. At the same time, there wasn't enough of a coherent plot put together for me to be able to really get into this. So unfortunately, it won't rank very high, but it wasn't bad either.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was decent. There were some flaws in it. I kind of wonder if, ironically, people liked the show because a lot of people talked about how there's a noticeable drop off in animation quality after the first episode, which ironically makes me think maybe they should have made the first episode look not as good, and then people wouldn't be complaining about that. So, yeah, I think. I was going to say that I definitely think it was better than Housing Complex C, but weirdly I've seen some people say, oh no, Housing Complex C was better. But then some other people say, no, Uzumaki was way better. So opinion seems definitely scattered on this. For me, I think for what it was supposed to be, it was decent. It rushed some things, which in some cases kind of hurt level of dread. But I feel most of the things people criticize for this were, as far as I can tell, in the original manga. Did you want a good explanation for all this? Well, no, you didn't get that in the manga either. For example, did some parts in this seem kind of unintentionally funny? Well, yeah, it was. People said that about the manga too. So, yeah, I will say, even if it didn't really explain some stuff, I will take that over Housing Complex C spending the first half of its final episode with one character doing a monologue trying to explain everything about the series.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, I think it was okay, maybe even decent. But it's probably... I think of the Toonami original series or whatever you want to call them. This was probably one of the better ones. The only one that really gives it competition, I think, is Shenmue.
Yeah, Shenmue was definitely the best. This one wasn't terrible, but yeah, for me, it's just kind of average. That's kind of where I put it. It's not bad. It wasn't bad. Usually I hate these things. I didn't hate this, so that's a plus. I think I'll give it like 5 out of 10 on my anime list. So, which I don't give out many 5s actually, if I'm not mistaken. I ought to look that up. Yeah, so an average show. It was okay.
Oh, one final comment I wanted to mention. One thing that's really annoying is there's a part where the people are trying to get into the house, and people in there are saying, no, it's too crowded, you can't come in. And then they open the door, but then they find out that everyone inside, it got so crowded they all fused together. And it's actually a pretty spooky reveal, except for the fact they put that in all the commercials. So you know exactly that was the reveal that was going to happen, and thus ruins it.
Checking my list, I actually do have a lot of number 5s.
Okay.
The number I don't have many of is 4. But yeah.
Okay.
Usually if I hate something, I really hate it.
Okay. Yeah, right now, Uzumaki on my anime list, and it's currently got a 6.19, which is definitely a fall from the first episode, where I think it was around 8, so people definitely soured on the series. I think Ninja Kamui was another series that had a pretty high thing early on, and then it ended up just falling down a lot to 6.73. I I think I would put, well, I want to say I'd put this above, but I guess Ninja Kamui did have some decent action scenes at least, so I don't know. We'll see. So, now that we've gotten all of that done, that's Uzumaki. For the record, if anyone wants to read the manga, it is published. It is in the Viz Manga app, which requires a subscription, but it's just $2. And alternatively, you can check out the volume releases. Okay. Although, from everything I've heard, despite this being a little bit of having some issues, this sounds like it's still the best anime adaptation of anything Junji Ito ever made. Because everyone always says all the adaptations of his works are terrible. And this one at least sounds like it's better than what people complain about with the other ones. Okay, I think that's it for real this time on that. So, we move into Demon Slayer, episode 55, an hour-long episode. So basically, they all end, the evil bad guy demon runs away, and when the good guys go after him, and then they manage to beat him. Oh, also, Nezuko, it's because of the sunlight, Nezuko, starts getting by it, and Tanjiro has to, leave her to defeat the evil bad guy demon. But don't worry, Nezuko now is able to, I guess, withstand sunlight and also talk. So, yeah, they explain it, I guess, but it's one of those things. Okay, it happened. Here's the explanation. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm not sure if that was set up before, but yeah, I guess that's the case now. They beat
Nezuko's back to being a normal human being again.
No, she's still like a demon. She just you can see the fangs. It's just she can actually talk and doesn't need the weird sort of thing over her mouth, and she can survive in sunlight apparently, which is noted by the evil bad guy demon, the Muzan, because he realized that and he's like, I should maybe if I capture and absorb her, I can gain the power to be out in the sun and such. And there's actually kind of a darkly humorous part where he just kills one of the maids because they don't know he's evil. They just think he's some kid or something. And then the other one is just like, what just happened? until he just decapitates her also. So yeah, that's basically the episode. Essentially, they beat the bad guy. Nezuko's sort of, but not really back to normal. And for some reason, they felt that they needed to spend a full hour to accomplish all of that. Because, yeah, this episode definitely feels kind of dragged out and sorry about the coughs. And stretched out because one of the most blatant parts is the thing where it just has all the Nezuko flashbacks, which were not I checked, they were not in the manga at that point. The anime inserted there blatantly just to fill it up. To put it into perspective, typically the rate of an anime adaptation of a weekly manga series is that you get maybe 2 to 4 chapters per episode, one that's got normal pacing. Some go really fast. JoJo usually slams a lot of chapters into each, and of course you have the notorious One Piece where nowadays it seems you're lucky to get a full chapter in an episode, but still that's how it usually goes. So 2 is a little on the slower side. This hour-long episode covered 3 chapters. That means 1.5 per half hour, which is on the slow side. Again, it's not One Piece level, but it's definitely on the slower side, and that's kind of why it did feel we did not need a full hour to accomplish this.
Yeah.
And
sorry, I thought it was pretty good though. I thought this episode was pretty good.
I do, yep, I will. I do want to give it credit because we were guessing what percentage is going to be spent on the demon guy's backstory, and you guessed 40%, and I guessed 20%. Neither of us was right. They spent like a few minutes and then they moved on from it. I was like, wow, okay, did not see that coming.
Yeah.
We spend more time on Muzan's flashback than like the demon guy that they had just beaten, which I guess makes some sense because Muzan's the main bad guy. So we found out, oh, this is how we got a demon, became a demon, blah blah, all of this stuff. So I guess we still got some there, but even there, that wasn't that long. So yeah, good on you, Demon Slayer, for not just going through the giant flashback for this guy like you have with some of the previous ones. Okay, I've talked a lot. Do you have any extra comments?
I thought this episode was pretty good and enjoyable. But the season as a whole was not as good as the two that were before it. So, that's a little disappointing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so many times during this season, I just say, well, this episode, they fought the demon a bunch. And that was just the over and over and over. And it all blurred together so much. And it wasn't, and sometimes you can save it by, okay, you know, maybe the demon guy is interesting. Like, you know, the ones from the previous season kind of were a little interesting. Nope, not this guy. He's very boring. Okay, but we get like some of the fun side characters, right? You know, like Inosuke's around. Nope, Inosuke's not here. Neither is Zenitsu, who, well, I don't like Zenitsu that much, but he does kind of make me think I feel like he might have actually been, good to have around because the backup cast this time in this season just was not as interesting. So yeah, definitely as a whole, this was kind of a weaker season. We'll see if we get more episodes later, though. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, later on Toonami. It's already available if you just go on, Crunchyroll or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. Okay, we're done with that then, and let's move on past the Toonami series. We've just got, we've only got Spice and Wolf and Yu Yu Hakusho, so because of the way the schedule worked out. So let's go. We watched 2 episodes of each. I think I said there was just 1 episode of Yu Yu Hakusho last week. Sorry, we changed it to 2, as we often do. So sorry if we spoil anything for you if you've been listening along, watching along. But anyway, Spice and Wolf, Merchant Meets the Wise Wolf, episodes 21 and 22.
Yeah, so Lawrence is kind of obsessed with finding this stuff out from this church, and the church is like really secretive about this stuff. And so it takes a whole episode just for Lawrence to come up with this plan. And then the second episode, he goes to the church and deceives the person running the church and is able to convince them to get to see those books so they can figure out where they want to go. And then everyone gets along with each other, and it's happy. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, there was also the end where all the villagers show up and it seems like there's some sort of angry mob and Lawrence is like, hey, you shouldn't threaten me. I am known by the Merchants Association. They know where we are. And like, oh, no, you misunderstood this. And I'm thinking, well, if you didn't want a misunderstanding, why did you go there with this big group of people with, looking all dangerous? And he just said, it's because someone has died from wheat. And I'm like, okay, well, he said something wheat. I can't remember. It was like, I think the wheat, maybe it was a wheat he brought or something. I can't remember, but it's just such a sudden cliffhanger. Someone died from eating wheat. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, that was a bit of a weird cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were okay, I guess. I'm trying to think of the right thing to say about it. It's weird, like the church, and I'm trying to figure out so exactly what are its beliefs and stuff, because it's very obvious a lot of this stuff is being curbed, like from Catholicism. Like they've say, okay, so you got some sort of confession thing. Okay, you got that. I think they mentioned something that sounded like like communion in a previous episode. The priest makes this note and just mentions and like straight up says the Pope. So I guess this church has a Pope then. I'm not sure how that works, because doesn't the word Pope specifically come from the Greek word Papa that eventually got to this? It's okay. If I was going to wonder about etymology, there's so many more words in this series I would wonder about, but actually in any series. But yeah, so but then they've also got, but apparently there's also just female priests. So I don't know, it's weird that they have this and then they just, except it's just kind of there and it doesn't go into things, and maybe that's intentional, but it's a little confusing. It's weird because it seems like the series is simultaneously giving us, it's like the series is saying, like, you could have this and this church and then just never go into detail about its beliefs, like Black Clover. Or you could have the religion and go into like a bunch of information about its beliefs. But this is this sort of weird midpoint where I'm just like, so I know what they believe, but I don't actually know what they believe. But yeah, as to the specific episode, they do look through the books, manage to figure out some stuff, and then we get the cliffhanger that someone has died eating wheat. I'm sure we'll get more details on exactly what was going on there in the next episode, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Shall we move on?
We can move on.
Okay, lastly, we've got Yu Yu Hakusho episodes 12 and 13. So we finish with this thing. So Kuwabara goes up against the remaining person in the competition who, yes, does reveal themselves to be the bad guy, the rando, which is, I'm sure that sounded fine in Japanese. In English, sounds really weird if your name is actually Rando.
Yeah.
So Rando is able to beat him because he has this special attack that lets him, where if he chants, but it takes a little while, he's able to shrink his opponent, so he beats Kuwabara that way. Then he goes up against Yusuke. Yusuke's able to deal a bunch of damage, but ultimately Rando is still, even though they're both exhausted, Rando is a little stronger, is still able to keep fighting. So he decides to use the spell thing again, and then in something that was not foreshadowed at all, it turns out, if you say the chant, but the person doesn't hear it, it rebounds on you. And since Yusuke accidentally got some algae in his ear when he was underwater, that protects him. So that lets him win. And then Yusuke wins, and then he ends, and then gets told that he's gonna train with Genkai, which he actually doesn't want to do because he just wanted the tickets to like the game. But then he's gonna have to spend a bunch of time training with her. It says 6 weeks, but I think in the original it was actually a shorter period of time. The dub changed that for some reason. So I thought, I wasn't really that big into these episodes. I thought they were kind of a little boring, and it's also a little annoying that it's just like Yusuke wins because of just luck, essentially. Which might not have been such a big issue if not for the fact that he won his previous fight through luck also.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't really into these episodes. It was just a typical shonen thing. Scream your way to a power-up type of thing. And I'm not a shonen guy. I mean, I watch a lot of shonen, but it's not my thing for the most part. So, this show was had too much of that in it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we'll see if the next arc is a bit better, because I seem to remember liking it more when I watched it originally. But if the series doesn't start shaping up, we might kind of be dropping it off. And yes, I know people will say, but you're so close, the dark tournament's about to happen. And but I'm thinking, yeah, but that's also that arc is also like 30 episodes. No, you don't want to go into it unless you're already sure you're liking the series. So we'll see what happens when we get there. And yeah, nothing else to really say about that, I don't think. And yeah, that's actually all of the series, because once again, due to the way our timing of recording happened, we don't actually have any other anime to talk about.
Yep.
All right, do we have anything else to talk about in general?
No, I don't really have anything. You have?
Well, I could say that I recently read through this manga called Kindergarten Wars that I thought was mostly fun. It's basically this series about this kindergarten, which they bill as the world's safest kindergarten, because it's where like all the rich and famous people send their kids to go to kindergarten, because all the teachers are basically former like assassins who have to like protect the kids from assassins and kidnappers, because they're the kids of really famous people. It's in a number of, if that sounds like a really silly premise, the characters legitimately say, doesn't this not make much sense? And there are some hints there's more to it, but I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe exactly. A lot of it is comedic. It is a funny series. I'd almost like the main character, Rita, actually reminds me a lot of Yor from Spy Family. And in some ways, the series almost feels like, hey, what it's being Spy Family if Yor was just the main character? Which I'm sure is actually a really strong pitch for some people.
For me, yeah.
Yeah, I think you might like this series.
What's it called again?
Kindergarten Wars. I won't say Rita is exactly the same as Yor. She's not, but there's a lot of similarities. So I think that if someone liked Spy Family and Yor, they'd probably really like this series. The biggest criticism I think I'd make of it is it does have an annoying tendency to do that thing I've complained about, where you get like a character's backstory and then they die right afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
It does that. In fairness to the series, some of those people turned out to actually not die and show up again. So I'm like, okay, that works. Okay. But yeah, I thought it was mostly enjoyable. It's on Manga Plus if anyone wants to read it. So yeah, there's my thought there. Another manga I recently read through was this one's on Manga Up. It's called Talentless Nana. It's a hard thing to describe, because one of those ones that, those series that have like a big like reveal early on, and that reveal is like what the series is about, except if you say it, you spoil the first the beginning thing. I don't know. I thought it was enjoyable, at least. The beginning stuff was a little slower, but yeah, basically it's this manga about these people that have what they call talents, which are basically quirks from My Hero Academia, and they're going to this school to learn to use them and such, but then someone is like starting to kill them and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I liked it. It's hard for me to really pitch it without getting too much into spoilers. I did think some of the beginning stuff was a little weaker, but I did, on the whole, really like it. It's still ongoing, although it's also a series I have not been keeping up with, just on the grounds that I knew from reading it, okay, reading this month to month is not going to be fun. Okay. Yeah, that one's on Manga Up. That's that's a manga reading app, the one Square Enix does. It's that got a lot of criticism when it came out, but it's better now that they've added a nice subscription service to it. So yeah, Anyway, those are some manga stuff I read recently. I'd like to throw in another, I guess, mention of Shiba Inu Rooms, which is on Manga Plus and Shonen Jump. It's just a very fun little comedy series about this girl who gets this apartment that has this grumpy ghost dog living in it. It's actually pretty funny. There's some nice feels and it's good. So there you go. Those are some random manga I just going to throw out as some recommendations. And
Oh, I do have something to say.
okay.
I saw the first episode of the Bleach new series. And it was basically like, let's reintroduce you to the characters. But then one character kind of sort of gets killed off, and won't say who it was. And all of a sudden we're back into Ichigo battling someone again within minutes. So yeah, it was nice to get to know the characters again, but all of a sudden they're right back to battling. And so I won't say much more on this. That's so for a first episode, it wasn't bad. It was pretty good. So yeah.
Okay. I was trying to remember who actually you were referring to as dying, and because I could remember characters, but I was like, who dies that early? And I just looked it up, and I'm like, oh, okay, so it was that character.
Mm-hmm.
It's I was, yeah, not I won't say who it was, but I'll just say that wasn't a very important character, was it?
It's a character whose name I'm not even sure I know.
Okay.
I know he exists, but besides the fact that he exists, I don't remember what his name is. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, I guess as long as I'm giving reviews, I might as well just I'll just throw it. I might as well do this. We did not have I've been meaning to bring some of this stuff up for weeks, but we kept going long, and I was like, okay, I don't want to talk about it. But we didn't go long this week. We went short, so I might as well do it. I did check out that there's the Ace Attorney Investigations collection, which is the original Ace Attorney Investigations and its sequel. The sequel was not released in English originally. This is the first time it's been released, and I played through it. Yeah, I thought it was pretty solid. If you like the Ace Attorney series, you'll like this. I like the way the cases actually really relate to each other in ways other ones didn't. There's a lot of the jokes are funny, the characters are interesting. The biggest criticisms I think I'd have to say is this applies to every single Ace Attorney series, but it will always happen the part where you're saying, okay, I need to present the evidence that proves this thing wrong, and you will have no idea what it is, and you'll just get stuck and have to go up and look it online and think, how was I supposed to figure that out?
Mm-hmm.
There's also some noticeable typos. Still, on the whole, I would recommend it. If you like Ace Attorney, you will like this game. I think it's an improvement over the first Ace Attorney Investigations game. Yeah, let's see. Although, one problem for me is the fact, because it wasn't originally released in English, so in all the Ace Attorney games, there's always do you know much about the Ace Attorney games, actually?
Nope.
Okay. Basically, there's always what people call the breakdown, which is when, after you manage to prove someone's guilty of the crime, they have some over the top reaction to it, which gets more and more crazy as the series go on. And since I never thought I would actually be playing this, I watched all of them a while ago, which meant, unfortunately, I knew who all the culprits were. A few of them I forgot, but that unfortunately spoiled things a little for me. So don't do that, people. Anyway, That's all I had to say about that. I also did get back to playing through Fate Stay Night, although I'm still kind of early in it. I did finish the introduction part. There are no choices in the introduction. It's not until you get past that and switch over to Shiro's point of view that you finally actually get a point where you actually choose what to do. It's a visual novel, emphasis on the novel part of it. Okay. All right, I think that's everything that I wanted to say, actually. So, I guess that's it. Anything you wanted to say before we quit?
Don't really have anything. Nope.
All right. And with that, now that I've said all that stuff, I guess I'll just...
Wait. Top three.
Oh, wow. I completely forgot all about... Okay, wow. All right, let's do the top three then.
Okay, so for me, I'll start at the top.
There are only 4 shows in contention, aren't there?
Yeah. Demon Slayer was my best of the week. I'll give it to that. I'll give Yu Yu Hakusho second place and Uzumaki third place.
Okay. For me, I think I'll give Uzumaki first. This is a problem. We've got only 4 series, and none of them were all that great this week. I'll do that. Then, yeah, despite my snark, let's go Demon Slayer, and then Yu Yu Hakusho. All right, for real. Okay, let's make sure. Is there anything else important that I'm forgetting? I like turned the stove off, right? I turned the stove off before leaving home, right? I should probably check that when we sign off. So, for real though, we're done?
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone, we'll see you next week for, let's see, there's no Toonami, but we will have 1 Oshi no Ko, 2 Yu Yu Hakushos, Spice and Wolf, and ReZero. ReZero is back. They dubbed the first episode, all 90 minutes of it. So we're going to watch that. And we'll also have the Toonami Rewind if I think they're doing it. I don't think they're putting a marathon on of anything, but and that's what we'll be having for next week. So we'll see you all then.
Bye.
Tonight belongs to the fighters. New episodes of Rave Master, Teen Titans, Megas XLR, Yu Yu Hakusho, Dragon Ball GT, and the long-departed but never forgotten Rurouni Kenshin. Toonami does it all night long. Coming up next.
You want to fight? I'll give you a fight.
Only on Cartoon Network.